So I've been ignoring it for a couple of months, but it's time I put some attention into my trailer. So after that big trip that we did to Shepparton to get the dually diff, so we did a bit of a roadside repair on the axle, and it's not exactly centered. So I'm just going to pull the axle out again and make sure I center her up and make sure we've got no other problems with it. So I just got the trailer up on jack stands, which is a bit of a weird sight. Now I'll take the wheel off and inspect for damage. So now I've got the wheel off, you can see there's a bit of rubbing and damage through here, which is from the tyre when the axle slid across. So then the hubs I've used are off of my dad's boat trailer, so they did have brakes on them at one stage, but not anymore. So what we're going to do today is unbolt these U-bolts, clean them up a bit, then center the axle left to right, and then bolt it all up again, and hopefully don't see any more of that. So I'll chuck some more paint in, clean it up, and then it should be all good. So I've taken off both the wheels and the spare, chucked them over there, given them a quick degrease. I've also degreased the wheel wells and emptied out the toolbox. So now I've just got the pressure cleaner ready, and I'm going to pressure wash everything. So I'm going to give it a pressure wash, and then I'll align the axle, and then give everything a coat of paint in the wheel arches, and then try and fix up the toolbox a little bit. So giving it a quick pressure wash and went to align the axle, and I can't get the bolts to do up anymore. So the U-bolts that are behind here, which are a bit hard to see, the nuts are jammed onto those, so I can't undo them or do them up. So I have to cut those off tomorrow and get some more. So I've given the wheel well, the hub, the leaf spring, everything a good coat of paint. Now of course if you are using your brakes, don't paint your rotors, but in this case it doesn't matter. And just given that backboard section a quick coat. And then this side's the same. I've painted the backboard, the leaf spring, the hub, and the rotor. So getting there, just need to get those U-bolts and replace those. And then I'll probably give the wheels a coat of paint and maybe even the whole trailer. We'll see how we go. I'm not in a hurry for it, but I'm on it now, so I may as well finish it off properly and give it all a quick paint. So I just decided to give the wheels a quick coat of paint while I'm at it. So that one's done. And this is my super sketchy, super quick way of painting wheels. So just get a piece of cardboard, bend it to the shape of the rim, spray that section, move along, spray that section, so forth, and then you get a result like that. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for your trailer or if you just want to freshen up your wheels. And all done. Didn't even take 5 minutes. So I'll zoom in. You can see it's not the best job, but it's good enough for a trailer. That's all we're using it for. So I have to get some U-bolts tomorrow. I took the toolbox off and have painted the drawbar. So I need to get some U-bolts tomorrow and some self-tappers to fix the wiring, which I've taken off as well because that was just cable tied on. And then I have to get some countersunk bolts to repair the lid on my toolbox because that's been snapped off for quite a while now. And then while I'm at it, I may as well get some blue paint and give the whole trailer a once over. So we're getting there. This is probably completely pointless, but should look a whole lot nicer and be back to good spec, I guess. So it's the following day. I've just got home. I've been running around to the shops. So I grabbed some blue paint, which is supposed to be this marine blue, but I have a feeling it's going to be a lot more like this. So we'll see. Grabbed a plate, which is 5mm thick, to make the new U-bolt bottom plates. Grabbed some P-clamps, some bolts with countersunk head, and some tech screws. And then I went to a place called Safety Steer and grabbed some hand cleaner and these U-bolts. So they actually made these for me while I waited. So they're about 65mm, which is what we need. And I think there's 170 or 180mm long. They gave us the nuts and the washers as well. So they were about 70 bucks. So 4 of those for 70 bucks, made while I waited, took about 20 minutes. So hopefully this should get the trailer all finished today. So just looking back at the wheels we painted yesterday, these are all nice and dry now. As you can see, they look heaps better than they did before. Not necessarily the best job, but heaps better. So I've got the toolbox off, I need to fix the lid on that. I've painted underneath here, so I need to cut the old U-bolts off because I can't get them undone. And then put the new ones on and re-drill out those bottom plates. Get all that fastened up, then I'll give the trailer a coat of paint in that blue, which is probably going to be really horrible. And then run the wiring to the front again with the P-clamps and tech screw all of those on. So it should be a pretty busy day. So I did some rough measurements when I was at the shop, and the U-bolt fits into this plate I bought, which is fantastic. So I just need to drill these out because I got a little bit of the galv over the hole, and then I have to re-drill these two in a bit closer to go around the leaf spring. So I decided to give the paint a go and see what colour it actually was. So I've just painted the guard really quickly over the top of the old paint and over the top of the other stuff, which is all I'm going to do here. And it is quite bright. So I actually wanted quite a dark blue, but this is pretty bright. But we're here now and I've got the paint, so I'll just keep going with it. So if you've met me, you probably saw this coming. The axle's out now. So while I was under there cutting the U-bolts off, I noticed that the locating pin was actually not welded to the axle, which is why I had all this problem in the first place. So I've taken the axle out, taken the locating pin thing off, and I'm going to weld it to the axle. So this is the locating shackle that I was talking about. So here's the one from the other side. So it's round on this side so it fits to the tube, and it's square on this side so it sits flat on the leaf spring. Then it's got a hole in the middle to hold it onto the bolt that holds the leaf spring together. So these are supposed to be welded to the tube so that it can't slide side to side. But with what happened to me, because these aren't welded on, the second the U-bolts were a bit loose from the vibrations without a tyre, these slid, and then the whole axle moved and connected with the trailer. So I need to mark these out, weld them onto the axle, then put the whole lot back under the trailer and do the U-bolts up. So I just marked out the 5mm plate, drilled out 2 new holes on either side, and then I've marked these 2 cut lines. So I need to cut those, one on either side. Then I've got a base plate for either side of the new trailer axle. So I've marked out the centers of my axles and measured out evenly. So this saddle is now welded on, and you can see this hole here. So this faces down normally, goes on top of the leaf spring, and there's a little bolt just there. So that goes on there. And then the other side of the leaf spring, we have this plate, which I just made as well. So this leaf spring goes between here and this plate here, goes like that. And then the U-bolts that we got made earlier, they come up from the bottom, go around the leaf spring, through that other plate, and then you put nuts on. So I'm just going to slide it under the trailer now and get all that lined up, show you how it fits. So you can see now the leaf spring coming out from the bottom of the screen to the saddle at the top of the screen. So that is now sitting on that bolt that I was talking about before. So I'll chuck the U-bolts over the top and put the plate on the bottom. So now it's all bolted together, you can see how it all fits together. So we've got the axle up the top there, the U-bolts coming over the top of the axle, then the saddle thing that I welded onto the axle, then the leaf spring, then the plate that I made with the hole in the center to locate it, and then the nuts to hold the U-bolts on. And then going across the other side, got the same thing. So that bottom plate's bent a little bit to the shape of the leaf spring, but that's okay, I'm not too worried about that. It's not going anywhere, so that's underneath done, so I can chuck the wheels back on, finally. So I got the wheels back on, we're back on the ground, and I've painted the trailer with that horrible blue, except for the top foot or two, because I ran out of paint. So it looks heaps better, but it's definitely not the colour I was after. I was after a bit of more of a navy blue, but doesn't matter. So I've repainted the toolbox with black, and put the spare back on, and put a ratchet strap over the top, and cut that to length. Then I've also tech screwed the wiring back on, so tech screw with those little P-clamps all the way along the A-frame. And then you can see the ratchet strap done up, and all this side's painted too. So I just need a little bit more paint to do that top. So I just need some more paint to do that top foot, and then we're pretty much done. So I took the number plate off, and I took the tail lights off, and painted everything, let it dry, put it back together. So now I just need to do that top little bit of painting and we're all good. So I've also fixed the lid on the toolbox as well as painted it. So I just used the countersunk bolts through there and bolted it back to the trailer. I also gave the lid a bit of a hammer and a bit of panel beating, so that's a bit better than it was. It was caved in from standing on it, so I'm sure it'll cave in again in the next use. So I went to Bunnings and got another can of the blue paint, and I finished the top foot or so of the cage. So that marks the end of the trailer. So wheels are painted, whole trailer's painted, toolboxes fixed and painted and kind of straightened out. Got the spare back on, painted the drawbar, fixed the wiring again so it's not cable tied anymore, it's actually tech screwed on. And that's about it. Ready to go. We swapped the Corolla for a Commodore.
Chuki beef.
So in that last clip, I was just saying that I swapped the Corolla for a 2004 VZ Commodore. So you can see here, I've got sell Toyota Corolla for $846, which is what it owed me. Brought us up to $972. I then bought the VZ Commodore for $846, so just the same value for the swap. So that gives me $126. And then 48 hours later, I sold the VZ Commodore for $2,200. And I took $200 off of that for the rego that I put on the Corolla originally. So I sold it for $2,000, which brings us to $2,126. So that's it for this week. Thanks for watching El Jefe's Chop Shop.